Let me pull him in. It will take just one quick second. We're going to be bringing on Axel. Sorry for that sound.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Hey, Axel, you're on with Brian and Ethan. How's it going, dude?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Nice to talk to you again. I forgot to ask you last week. You're from, is it Chicagoland, right?
That's right.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Hello?
So you wanted to talk about psychic phenomena, right?
Yeah. Yep. Last week I sent you a list of studies and stuff we were talking about. So maybe we could go over some of them, like that stock market prediction.
I have that pulled up right now. Let's do it.
Cool. What do you think about it?
Well, I some of the stuff is clearly going to be over my head. I'm not going to pretend to be a statistician or anything. I haven't had a statistics class since like senior year. So,
same.
For those watching, I just put the link to Axel's article in the comment section if you want to take a look at what he's referring to. What specifically in this, it was the stock market prediction, that did you find that was the most compelling?
The fact that they were able to gain $16,000 predicting the stock market, whether it close up or down 7 out of 7 times, really just made me think that I need to learn how to do this.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to learn how to do that too. If I could predict the stock market, that would be great.
Right? So, what they did is, well, yeah, it is a bit complicated and you can look at it yourself, but so they had these inexperienced, it was like a college class, and they had these students basically remote view an image, and one of the images represented the stock market closing up, and one of them represented it closing down, and nobody knew which one was which, and nobody knew, of course, what the stock market was going to do. So they were seeing an image in the future, and so they successfully draw, like in the example in the article at the end, they have a picture of a mouse and a picture of a guy riding a bike. So they tried to make the images very different so that wouldn't get confused. And this guy writes down in his notes, fuzzy, furry, underground. He draws a little rabbit looking thing. He also wrote small mammal. So basically that ended up representing the correct, it corresponded to the actual outcome of the market. So, and they were right 100% of the time. They had 7 trials, and
real quick, Axel, since you're more familiar with the document than myself or Ethan, can you clarify, as I didn't get that far into it, is this they made their prediction a 50-50 shot, either up or down?
It was a choice of up or down.
Okay,
so is that right?
They didn't nail a number or a number range. It just up or down. Is that?
No. Yeah, it was binomial, meaning there's 2 answers.
Mm-hmm.
Would you? So if they only
have 2 possibilities.
If they only have a chance of 2 possibilities,
well, the binomial probability test is p less than 0.01, and I have no idea what that actually means, but I know it's pretty good as far as being not very probable.
Yeah, I see that.
Because it's not just they didn't do this just once. So they took 10 viewers, 7 trials, and the majority of so if the majority chose down, then they went with down, and there would be like a few wrong ones in there amongst the 10 people, but
okay. So they went with whoever the majority. So out of the 10 people, if 6 said it was going to go up, they would go with the 6, right?
Right. In one case, it was pretty close. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down and 4 up, and then one person wasn't there, but they went with down for the majority. And But they did this 7 days, so in each day it was correct ultimately.
And
they
they
made
showed them
16 grand. So
and they showed them images that corresponded to up and down.
they only showed it after the market, the next day. So they showed them the image the next day. They didn't know what the images were at all before that.
So I guess to me this seems kind of like an odd way to do the test. Why not try and have them focus on more something. I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. Why not have them try and make like a more accurate prediction as opposed to just saying up or down, since that's pretty much the only two choices?
Well, I don't know.
Do you know if after this study, were these people followed and were they able to replicate this any further?
That I do not know. They talk about other studies being replicated, like they were motivated by an earlier experiments where they Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff predicted silver value doing a similar thing. And I'm not sure. Let's see here.
Question from audience member: is there a correlation coefficient R value in there?
I have no idea what that means.
Okay.
I do not know.
I would like to point out something else, that the audience just made, is that this is not a peer-reviewed journal. Do you know of any peer-reviewed studies regarding psychic phenomena?
Let's see here. Let me look at my list. Wait, how do they know that it's not peer-reviewed?
Here I can.
I can check the journal. I'll check the journal for you. What are we in?
Journal of Scientific Exploration. This was at the University of Colorado, Boulder. But what's more important to me is that, one, you guys didn't really even read the study. And, the first reaction is to try to see if, okay, that's.
Well, we've actually only just been asking questions about the study since you're citing that it's something you've read. I will tell you right now that as far as crunching these numbers, I'm not experienced with doing that, but our friend that was in the live chat is, and in turn, you didn't even understand the terminology she was using. So are you really qualified
to
assess this data?
I'm not the scientist here, but it's a great example of how people will dismiss stuff, scoff at stuff without even ever looking at it. I mean, you could at least read the abstract there at the top.
Okay, so for the record, I've read the abstract and the majority of the article. However, I am not good at math, and I'm not going to pretend to be good at math. So, as you stated yourself, these values, neither you or I understand them that well. Is that accurate?
Okay, well, our friend in the chat, does he know what a good binomial probability test score is? Is P less than 0.01 a good binomial probability test?
I think you said 0.05 above there. A p-value less than 0.05 typically, is statistically significant. So that's what they've put out there. And I'm not trying to come down on you. We're saying that we don't know this data either, and we're hoping you did, because we did look at this. We did go through and look at the article that you cited us, but we didn't feel that we were qualified to assess the information included in there, which is is perfectly acceptable.
Oh, hey, check this out. Look what I pulled up. Journal of Scientific Exploration, the quarterly peer-reviewed journal.
Journal of
published since 1987.
All right. Well,
So, guy in the chat, wrong, buddy.
He could be. I'm trying to look this up as fast as I can. So understand though, like we're just asking questions. I'm not dismissing it. Anytime I talk to anybody with any type of claim, whether it be natural or supernatural, you know, if you tell me you have $1 million in your pocket, I'm going to ask questions. You know, $1 million is a really big claim, and I doubt it would fit in your pocket. So it's not that I'm trying to be dismissive. It's just that this is a fairly large claim. So to me, I need to ask more questions to see how probable it is and to understand it, because a lot of what I've seen in this wasn't necessarily convincing. But again, I'm not a scientist. I'm not great at interpreting this information. So all I'm trying to do is ask the right questions to understand this better.
Okay.
Okay. And, my position is that this is actually, I mean, people make their living doing these predictions, and some people have more success and some people have less success. And I understand that these people were not trained in this remote viewing when they made their predictions, which is, I mean, I understand that, and I see that in your abstract. However, this is something that people do for a living. If there was nothing to it, to making these types of predictions, people wouldn't be able to support themselves doing it. That was just kind of where I was coming from on that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that everybody has this talent, and actually, I found in my case, you know, I'm an overthinker and I overthink everything. And I think I would be pretty bad at this because I would just be overthinking it. But it's actually better if you don't. I've heard, you know, it's better if you don't think at all about it and it's just kind of automatic. So yeah, people, I would be skeptical of professional. I'd actually be more skeptical of people who make money, you know, remote viewing stuff.
So if people,
a lot of people do it as like a service, you know, and, you know, for studies and stuff.
So if they make money, you're less likely to believe them. But if they don't make money, you do believe them?
Well, there's nothing inherently wrong with making money, but you know, when it becomes a commodity and it becomes something you make money off of, yeah, I'm going to be more skeptical because then you've got your motive is to make money. So
how do we know that these people, like, I guess why jump to psychic phenomenon as opposed to considering the fact that they could just be really good at either guessing or predicting the direction of the stock market? Because to me, like, how I would look at it, if I was one of these people and I was able to predict this, I would have asked all those other 9 other people, like, hey, let's stick together and let's go start making some predictions on the stock market and begin making money.
Well, they're not predicting. They're not saying, I think it's going to close up or I think it's going to close down. What they're doing is drawing an image, and they don't know which image represents which. So they're just drawing what comes to their head, and it turns out to look like the image. Nobody, you know, it's double blind. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows which image is going to be up or down, but they know that the drawing looks like the image.
Is there, let me ask you this, were there other control groups that they used who didn't have this ability and then just guessed and compared the results between the people guessing and the people making these legitimate predictions?
Well, everybody's guessing really, and some people, you know, there's some nonsense in there. Some people, you know, don't have one that looks like either, and I think it's indicated. They indicated that in the chart. But as far as like a different control group, I didn't see anything about that, but I would refer you to the study.
Yeah, that's sorry. I should clarify. I didn't see them reference a control group in the study, so I guess that's why I was asking if there was anything else outside of this where they were able to, because to me, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong here. When you're doing any type of scientific study, you need control groups. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
And
When you're doing doing testing of any kind, you're gonna want to not base that on such a small sample size. Do you know how many people were tested on this one?
Yeah, and that is one downfall of this, is that there wasn't enough sample size, and there's a lot of logistical things that went into that, and not having enough time or students and stuff like that. So yeah, it was only 10 people each trial. So they could have, and they say in the study, they think they assume that it would have gotten better results. The results would have just got better with more people. But yeah, there's that is one downfall of it.
Right. That's for something like this. That's kind of hard to pull people away from their lives for that long to do that, because they got separated from society for this to be able to have any kind of control at all. They got to not be able to go out into the world while they're doing these studies for days on end. It's hard to get a lot of people together to do something like that, especially something so sociologically directed. So how many people is there a number on here? Can you just give me a page number where I can see that information?
I think
it was 10 people, 7 men and 3 women.
Okay. So that's a relatively small sample size, but so people working in stocks, making stock predictions and stuff. What's the so when you compare this data to that, what are we seeing? Are we seeing that this is average, better than average, compared to the people actually working in this field? Do we have any data on that? Axel?
I don't. That's a good question. All I know that this was 7 out of 7 correct. So I would assume that's better than your average guy who predicts.
Yeah. I got you. But when you're working in the stock market, of course, you're going more off of numbers. It's more of pinning down a number range that you want to invest in, more so than just up or down. It's up or down can be a little or a lot. Obviously, if you put your money down in the right place and things turn your way. I'm definitely not any more versed on the stock exchange than I am on statistics. So
I wish I was.
Yeah, I know. I wish if I was better at that, I probably wouldn't be sitting here doing this.
That's true. So here's where I'm struggling with this article. It's not only because it's a bit difficult for us to at least for you and I, Axel, to even kind of understand what's going on here. Is that accurate?
I'm sorry, I broke up. You broke up a little.
Oh yeah, sure. Is it accurate to say that both you and myself don't really fully understand this study?
Actually, I think this one's pretty easy to understand.
But when we jumped back,
as far as I don't know the probability, binomial probability, like what's a good number or whatever. But overall, I think I get the gist of this one. This was one of the easier to understand ones that I pulled from the list.
Yeah, when it comes to p-values and stuff, I tend to defer to people who are
math experts,
quicker than I am. Yeah, like I don't. And I'm just being honest with you. It doesn't sound like maybe I know Ethan's not, and it doesn't sound like maybe you are either,
nope.
Axel.
I was looking at some of this, and I'm like, I'm reading it, and I'm like, I don't know what some of this means. I don't actually understand it.
Yeah, circling back to don't be offended by us not being able to make it through this paper. It's pretty heavy on the the math there. So I apologize for not being being more versed in that. And but I was hoping, that you would understand it.
That I come back to is people scoff at stuff, but then you have these studies. Like, what more do you need?
We need to have them explain to us. That's what I was hoping that you'd come on and do. I mean, we looked at it, but we're hoping you were going to explain to us what you're seeing here that we're not seeing, and then we could, go over verifying that.
Well, I explained it when we started. Basically, these remote viewers every day were successfully predicted without, it's double blind. They weren't picking up or down. They weren't picking an image, but they successfully were able to tell if the stock market would close higher or lower each day. And this group made $16,000 doing this. So that's the gist of it.
See, to me, I would immediately assume the natural, because typically we have natural explanations for most things, but I don't want to essentially close off the natural explanations and jump to just, well, it must be psychic. Like, I personally want to keep looking into this. And you had asked what would convince me, or, I'm not scoffing at this. It's just, I need more than this to be convinced. For example, like one study, it wouldn't be good enough. So what should happen here is these 10 people should be tested over and over and over again. They should establish control groups. This shouldn't just be a one-off, and then you're convinced off that. So I personally would.
I sent a public list of a bunch of studies, and actually I can send you that link if you want to drop it in the chat.
Yeah, send me which link? The one we're looking at now, I put in the chat.
No, the one that's a whole list. I sent it to you a little earlier in Messenger.
If you can throw that in
informational psi collapsing the problem of space of psi phenomenon, compendium of evidence for psi. I mean, there's a bunch in there, so it'll take a while to get through, and that's part of the problem. So people just don't take the time to go through it.
Let me ask you this: why do you think these psychics aren't, I guess, millionaires at this point? Like, why aren't they making regular predictions and making a lot of money off of it?
I mean, who's to say that there isn't somebody out there playing the stock market, some rich guy that we've never heard of? I don't know.
But wouldn't a better explanation be that they're just really good with money and understanding the ebbs and flows, as opposed to assuming that they have a psychic ability?
Yeah, I'm not assuming that they do, but if you're asking why isn't there one, well, I don't know that there is not one.
Okay, to the paper, I just want to make a little bit of a closing assessment. I've looked at the abstract and in the conclusion, checked the citations on it and stuff, but I don't know that it's the paper itself is drawing a conclusion that there's some unknown phenomenon present, as much as it is talking about a statistical phenomenon. Just my interpretation of this conclusion that they're coming to down here.
Well, the first sentence in the conclusion is associative remote viewing appears to be a reasonably accurate way to predict the future of binary outcomes.
Right. Yeah. And what I'm assessing there is that that there's some kind of statistical that they're concluding that there's some kind of statistical situation going on here, because they're specific about it being binary, and they never expanded beyond that. So,
well, even if that is true, even if a fraction of this is true, that throws the whole standard worldview into question. So, even if there's 5% true, or you know what I'm saying? Like that means a lot.
But with such a small group, an anomaly, I definitely say that this paper indicates that there needs to be more tests towards this, for sure. But I don't think that with such a small sample size that we can't, because the chances of somebody winning the lottery are outrageous, but somebody always wins the lottery. Somebody wins. Somebody hits that number. Somebody can hit that number multiple times. There's people that have won the lottery multiple times, and the chances of that happening are outrageous. But once it happens, the chance of it happening is 1. So with such a small group, we shouldn't be drawing any conclusions at this point.
Okay. Well, there's another study that is cited in this one by, I cannot say this guy's last name, is Greg Holozowski, and he did a 13-year.
Are we talking about the references cited on the last page, or are we?
Yeah, but it's also, let me see, it's on page 9. About half, let's see, third paragraph. Other ARV experiments continue to be carried out informally or as private research initiatives. This guy, Greg, did 5,677 ARV trials to predict the market, and he ended up profiting, well, it says if you, let's see, using confidence scores as a further error correction mechanism, he achieved an overall success rate of greater than 70%, yielding a profit of $146,587. And I also linked that paper in the list. It's a 13-year study.
All right, I will. I'll have to look into that 13-year study definitely after the show. I think what we should do is we should definitely normalize asking more questions. I know you think we're scoffing, but then on the flip side, it would appear that you're scoffing at skeptics, and I think you should be asking just as many questions as us, because that's how we get to the truth. And for this, I would want to see more rigorous testing over and over and over again, with a larger sample size.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't think that we're addressing you as if you're wrong. What we're saying is we're saying, I don't know. I don't know about this. This needs to be looked into. I'm totally comfortable saying that. It seems. Are you okay saying that too? And I mean, instead of drawing a conclusion at this point, yeah. So you're taking the position of a skeptic on that as well, which is fine. We all should be skeptical of any of this kind of research until we get a larger sample size. Science is always being updated. That's the beauty of the structure of it. And when we get new information, we continue to build it. So stuff like this is good. We should be exploring this. I don't disagree with you. I think it's too early to make any kind of statistical claims. The conclusion is, that's kind of what I'm gathering from it. But anyway, Ethan. Yeah.
Do you by chance, Axel?
Let me just say that this is not the only one, and psi phenomenon has been studied quite extensively. So I'd be happy to, if you guys have a study that disproves it, I'm sure those are out there too. I'd be happy to look at those.
Well, I don't think there's a way to disprove it, especially when it hasn't actually been proven. I don't know. Am I correct there on that, Brian?
Well, yeah, actually disproving is more what science is about, honestly, and more in studies disprove hypothesis orders of magnitude more than they prove hypothesis. So disproving, you're never going to completely eradicate the hypothesis, but you can build evidence against it. I do want to recommend to Axel, somebody who covers these kind of topics very extensively, and it's Thomas Westbrook. Also goes by Holy Kool-Aid on YouTube. He has lots of videos on these type of research. So
he'd be a good person to talk to.
Yeah, just pull that up. I'll check that out.
Yeah, good stuff.
Hey, do you want the list?
Can you put that in the Skype chat for me real quick so I can?
There you go.
Awesome. All right, and you said I can post this. Is this yours?
Yeah, Yeah, it's public. Yeah, it's fine. You can post
Okay,
it.
cool. It is for those watching. Axel's list of sources are in the comment section right there. If you click the link, it'll take you to his document where he refers to all the different psychic phenomenons. Brian.
Well, I appreciate you guys, being open-minded about it.
No, and hey, Axel, it was a pleasure talking to you again, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to let us pick your brain.
No problem. Hope you guys have a good one.
You too, man. Take it easy.
All right. Peace.